You know you're supposed to get plenty of sleep, but do you know why? And do you realize just how important it is for your body fat and muscle levels? Let's talk about that. How's it going, guys? My name's Richie Kirwan, and today we're going to talk all about people's favorite thing to avoid and least favorite thing to leave: sleep. There's a good chance you don't realize how important it really is to every aspect of health and even to your body composition. So let's get started. Sleep is a chance for our body to reset after the day. Enough restful sleep is essential for all of our bodily systems to recover and work to their optimal capacity. And that means everything. Our hormonal systems, appetite regulation, blood glucose control, muscle growth and repair, to name just a few. Not getting enough sleep can screw up all of these systems, and I'm going to explain how that makes it a lot harder for you to achieve the body composition goals that you have. Firstly, let's talk about body fat. When we don't get enough sleep, one of the most commonly noted side effects in research studies is an increase in appetite. That's right, not sleeping enough makes you hungry. Researchers think that the changes in appetite are caused by changes in satiety hormones such as leptin, which reduces appetite, and ghrelin, which increases food intake. One study showed that a few days of sleep deprivation caused leptin levels to drop by 18% and ghrelin to increase by 28%, and that caused a 23% increase in hunger. Other studies have shown that only one night of reduced sleep leads to increased food cravings, greater food reward in the brain, and cause participants to choose larger food portion sizes. And what's really interesting is that the lack of sleep seems to not only increase hunger, but it makes people hungry for high calorie, hyper palatable, that's a fancy word for very tasty, ultra processed foods that are high in both fat and carbs. Think of it like this: if you're trying to diet and lose body fat, if you don't get enough sleep, then your appetite is likely going to be a lot higher and you're going to want a lot of processed food. Couple that with the fact that we live in a world where processed food is everywhere, then not getting enough sleep can make dieting unnecessarily difficult. Nobody wants to walk around feeling hungry all the time. To add insult to injury, studies have even shown that if you're losing weight and not getting enough sleep, you're more likely to lose muscle instead of body fat. Yup, you heard that right. In fact, one study showed that people sleeping only 5.5 hours during a diet made them lose 55% less fat and 60% more lean mass or muscle than people sleeping 8.5 hours. On top of that, a lack of good sleep can make it a lot harder to build muscle. Short-term, modest sleep loss, so going from say 8 hours to just 6 hours a night, can lead to increases in substances in our body called pro-inflammatory cytokines. Higher levels of those substances are associated with muscle loss in other studies. Sleep loss can also mess up the way our body releases hormones. For example, it can lead to high levels of the stress hormone cortisol after just 2 nights of 4 hours of sleep each. Chronically high cortisol can cause an increase in muscle protein breakdown, which is not ideal if you're trying to build muscle. On top of that, one experiment with 8 nights of just 5 hours of sleep showed a reduction in testosterone of about 10 to 15%. But wait, there's more. Other research has shown that people who don't get enough sleep are a lot more likely to have adverse health behaviors. Basically, they did more things that weren't good for them, like smoking, being physically inactive, and heavy drinking. Poor sleep can also lead to higher levels of stress and anxiety, and that makes people less likely to have healthy behaviors, like having regular breakfasts or eating vegetables. So not only does a lack of sleep make it physically harder to build muscle and lose fat, it also makes you a lot less likely to do the things that you need to do in the first place to improve your body composition. It makes you less likely to exercise and eat well. So now that you know how essential sleep is for your body composition, how much sleep should we be getting? Well, the truth is we don't know exactly. But if you constantly have trouble waking up, don't wake up feeling rested, and feel tired throughout the day, there's a good chance you're not getting enough sleep. The common guideline is between 7 and 9 hours of sleep per night. And I would say if you're quite physically active or exercise regularly, then aiming for the upper end of that range is probably a good idea because you simply need more rest and recovery. In fact, recently there was one very interesting paper that compared natural sleep duration in primates, our closest animal relatives, and determined that based on different biological factors, humans should potentially be sleeping around 9.5 hours every night. While it's not proven by any means, it kind of hints at the fact that our modern 24/7 lifestyle might not be allowing us as much sleep as we should naturally get. So, what can we actually do to try and make sure we're getting enough quality sleep. There are a lot of tips out there, and I'm going to mention a few, but I really want to point out that you don't have to, and you might not be even able to, use all of them. A small improvement is still an improvement, so do what you can. Okay, first off, have a set sleep and wake time. Our bodies like to maintain a stable circadian rhythm. That's a cycle controlled by biological clock genes in our cells. If you keep going to bed and waking up at different times, it makes getting to sleep difficult. Don't eat large or heavy meals right before bed. If you're struggling to digest a heavy meal at night, you're going to find it tough to sleep. Try and eat at least 3 hours before sleeping and keep your last full meal relatively light, lower in calories and food volume. Just to throw it in there, I know a lot of people like to take some protein before going to bed. That's probably okay because it's relatively easy to digest. The next one kind of goes without saying. Avoid caffeine close to bedtime. Caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours. That means that if you take a pre-workout with 200 milligrams of caffeine, 6 hours later, there's still 100 milligrams of caffeine floating around in your system. It's best to keep caffeinated drinks like coffee, tea, and pre-workouts to the early part of the day. Next one. Avoid blue light at night. Blue light from the sun is essential for maintaining our circadian rhythm. But if we have lots of blue light from electric lights or computers, TVs, and phone screens entering our eyes late at night, our brains simply don't know when to shut off. Consider using blue blocker glasses or blue blocking apps for your phone and computer screens in the evenings. Next one, make sure your room is dark because light in your bedroom from street lamps or even digital clocks can make it harder to sleep. You could use blackout blinds, or you could do what I do and use a cheap eye mask. Oh, and if your bedroom is noisy, a pair of earplugs can be a lifesaver. It's also important to make sure your bedroom isn't too hot or too cold, as both can make it harder to sleep. Cold feet especially can keep people awake, and apparently wearing socks in bed can help keep them warmer and help you sleep. Socks in bed also have the added advantage of ensuring nobody will ever get in bed with you to keep you awake. Win-win, right? Regular exercise is also associated with better sleep. Only caveat here is for some people, exercising close to bedtime might actually make it harder to drift off. You'll likely know if late night exercise has that effect on you, and if it does, it might be time to switch up your routine to exercise a little earlier. And if you're the kind of person that can't get to sleep because you always have a million thoughts running through your mind, there are two things that might help. One is writing a to-do list of things you need to do the next day. That means you won't forget them and you don't need to keep them in your mind all night. The other is pre-sleep meditation. While that might sound a little bit hippy-dippy to a lot of people, there is a lot of research showing the benefits of meditation for improving sleep. There are also plenty of apps to choose from that might help you to start a meditation habit. And it can have a lot of other benefits in other aspects of your life. And what about sleep supplements? Well, while a lot of supplements are marketed as helping improve sleep, there isn't a lot of evidence to prove those claims. One supplement many recommend is magnesium, which plays a role in neurotransmission in the brain. And it may genuinely benefit people who are deficient in magnesium. However, if you're not deficient, supplementing won't help. If you're worried about low magnesium levels, it's worth looking out for really bioavailable forms like magnesium glycinate and magnesium citrate. Like I said earlier, you're probably not going to be able to make use of all of these tips, but start with what you can and build up from there. It's also really important to remember that there are probably no quick solutions to poor sleep, and long-term habit change is the best way to make an impact, just like the long-term changes you need to make to your diet and exercise habits. So, did this answer your questions about sleep? As always, if you have any more, let me know in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe to the Myprotein YouTube channel for more great evidence-based nutrition information.
Action.
Oh, it's rolling? All right, okay, sorry. I want a photograph of this. You know you're supposed to get plenty of sleep, but you... Oh,